Hello and welcome back to Fuck That. If you are new here, don't forget to hit subscribe so that way you never miss an episode. This week I am covering the disappearance of Hannah Kobayashi. I'm sure most of you have heard of it. It is a very current, recent, and active investigation. But before I get into it, I do want to throw something out there. There has been a lot of speculation around this case, which unfortunately happens when a case comes to fruition. And while sometimes that may have a positive impact, like with the Gabby Petito case, a lot of times there's a lot of negative bullshit that goes along with that. In this case, there's been false information shared and a lot of speculation and victim blaming and negative comments surrounding the family. And I just want to make it clear I'm not entertaining that in this episode. I will only be speaking on things that have been confirmed as true or that the family themselves have confirmed to be true. I will not be entertaining any speculation, outlandish theories, or just blatant victim blaming. Let's get into the episode. Hannah had been dreaming about this trip to New York. Tickets purchased, plans made, super excited. She lands in Los Angeles for her layover, and then she just doesn't get onto the next flight. Weird, right? What followed was a series of cryptic messages, bizarre sightings, and a nightmare that absolutely no family should ever have to go through. And I want to be clear, this isn't just a missing person story for anybody to listen to pass the time. This is about Hannah, a 30-year-old woman, a photographer with a life full of plans who's now gone without a trace. Her father, Ryan, whose tireless search for answers is a heartbreaking reminder of the lengths that people will go to for the people that they love. This is the disappearance of Hannah Kobayashi. And as I'm recording this episode, it has been 19 days since Hannah was last seen. Hannah is a 30-year-old photographer from Maui, and her sister Sydney describes Hannah as an independent and free spirit. I've listened to a couple of interviews, one of them on News Nation, of Sydney describing Hannah, and it was really beautiful the way that she talked about her sister. Hannah loves to travel, and everybody that's been asked about her has described her as a truly beautiful and kind person, both inside and out. And if you look at pictures of her, truly beautiful. So this trip that Hannah had planned, it was a bucket list trip, and it was planned for early November. Hannah was going to travel to New York. She wanted to sightsee, she wanted to visit her aunt, but most importantly, she got the gig of her dreams. Hannah landed a job taking pictures of a concert in Brooklyn. She was insanely excited about it and had even told her aunt about how this opportunity landed her a press pass, which was something that she had always wanted to accomplish. According to the Los Angeles Times, Hannah's sister Sydney said that Hannah was booked on the same flight as her ex-boyfriend, but they decided to keep the itinerary because they were not eligible for a refund. Instead, they had planned to go their separate ways after they both had landed at JFK in New York. I want to go through a timeline. I got this timeline directly from Hannah's family. There have been a lot of details circulating that contradict this, and I'll get into that later in the episode, but her family has confirmed this timeline multiple times. On Friday, November 8th, Hannah took a flight from Maui to Los Angeles. This was the first stop during her trip to New York. Hannah landed at Los Angeles International Airport at 9:53 p.m. Hannah's connecting flight left at 11 p.m., which, if you think about it, that's when she landed. Subtract some time. She had much less than an hour to get from one terminal at LAX to the next. So to me, it was not surprising or shocking to hear that she missed her next flight. So Hannah was then put on standby for the next available flight to New York. And according to her family, she ended up spending the night at LAX. During a News Nation segment, the anchor stated that Hannah sent 2 Venmo payments. The first was on Friday at 6:25 p.m. to a woman named Veronica Almendarez. In Venmo, if you know how Venmo works, you can add a comment along with it. You can make private, public payments. This one was public. And so you could see that there was the bow and arrow emoji. If you're an iPhone user, it's that exact bow and arrow emoji. The second payment was made less than an hour later to a Jonathan Taylor, with the payment stating for reading. On Saturday, November 9th, Hannah was seen at the Grove. This makes sense because it's a really popular, well-known shopping center. It's a really nice shopping center, to be honest, and it's in central Los Angeles. According to Google Maps, the Grove is about 13 miles outside of LAX, but with LA traffic, it's about a 40-minute drive. According to her family, Hannah was there between 12 o'clock noon to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Hannah went to Taschen, which is a really beautiful bookstore that has kind of an artsy focus. Sometime in that time frame, Hannah had asked the employees to charge her phone at the store, which she did. She had also signed up for the store's mailing list, and she used her Maui address. At 2:43, Hannah took a photo in the bookstore and sent it to her aunt. That evening, Hannah returned to LAX, and this was the last day that Hannah spoke to a relative on the phone. There would be text messages exchanged after this, but of an actual phone call, this would be the last day. On Sunday, November 10th, Hannah was seen at the Grove again, around 3:40 p.m. The center was hosting a Nike LeBron James event, and the entire area was being filmed. Hannah was seen in a promotional video about the pop-up, and she did also post an Instagram photo. It was a black and white Instagram photo, and it was a picture of one of the signs at the event with her legs down at the bottom of the photo, kind of sticking out through the sign. According to the family's timeline, it is believed that she did return to LAX that evening. On Monday, November 11th, Hannah was seen at LAX again, speaking to a ticketing agent around 5 o'clock in the evening. Hannah's aunt, Lori, did an interview with News Nation, and she confirmed that Hannah spoke to an American Airlines agent for approximately 40 minutes that day. She was trying to see if there was a way that she could come off of standby, and she had apparently offered more money to be taken off standby and to pay for a direct flight to New York. During the interview, Lori said that she can't confirm whether or not Hannah was successful in trying to buy another ticket. She said that there are a lot of things that the family is cautious about releasing to the public because they don't want to hinder the investigation. But she did confirm that that conversation happened. It was a lengthy conversation, and the purpose of the conversation was Hannah attempting to get a direct flight so that she could leave LAX and Los Angeles and finally get to New York. It was up until this day that Hannah was communicating openly and regularly with her family. According to her family, Hannah had been reaching out to them consistently, expressing how she couldn't wait to get to New York and that it had been a nightmare trying to get another flight. After this, Hannah began sending texts that were not normally like her to her friends and family, using particular words that, according to her aunt, she would never use. One of the texts said, quote, "Deep hackers wiped my identity, stole all of my funds, and have had me on a mindfuck since Friday." Another text reads, "I just finished a very intense spiritual awakening. I'm heading back to the airport to get to New York City. I might need some help getting there." Another text says, "I got tricked pretty much into giving away all of my funds for someone I thought I loved." Another text sent to her friends says, "It's been really scary." At 9:04 p.m. that same day, Hannah boards the LAX Metro C line at Aviation Century Station, and she transferred trains at the Rosa Parks station. Her family has since confirmed that Hannah was accompanied by an unknown individual for the duration of the time that she spent on the Metro. At 10:03 p.m., Hannah was seen in footage leaving the Metro Pico station with an unknown individual. The family has been quiet about identifying what this person looks like. There have been people that have been really judgmental about this, but the family has been very forthcoming, saying that they are hesitant to give information on this individual, among other things, because they're in full cooperation with the police and they don't want to hinder the investigation. So to me, it makes sense. If this person could be a suspect, you don't want to alert the suspect that the police knows who they are. So It makes sense to me. The concern with the Pico Station area is her aunt confirmed in a News Nation interview that Hannah wasn't acting like herself and that this is a really unsafe area. So I did my own digging, and unfortunately, it's an area that's known to be unsafe. So undoubtedly, this was something that was concerning to Hannah's relatives, along with the fact that they have stated they don't know who this unidentified individual is. On the evening of Friday, November 29th, the RAD Movement, which is a nonprofit organization that has been assisting Hannah's family, shared an updated timeline posted on behalf of the family. According to the updated timeline, on Tuesday, November 12th, Hannah was seen at the Greyhound terminal at Union Station sometime around 6:30 in the morning, but nobody else was seen within the camera frame that she was seen in. They stressed that it can't be ruled out that she was not with an individual, especially if they were aware of the surveillance cameras on the premises and didn't want to be seen. Perhaps they could have simply just stepped out of view of the camera. According to Hannah's family, she was reported missing on November 11th, which is the day that the weird text messages started coming in. There are several contradictions to this, which again, I'll elaborate on in a bit, but I'm going to take her family's word for it. On November 15th, the Los Angeles Police Department created a missing person poster for Hannah. On November 24th, the RAD Movement, the nonprofit that's been helping the Kobayashi family, shared a statement on behalf of the family. Tragically, on Sunday, November 23rd, Hannah's father, Ryan, passed away. I'm going to read the statement. The family of Hannah Kobayashi is urgently pleading with the public to maintain focus on the search for her. Hannah is still actively missing and is believed to be in imminent danger. It is crucial for everyone to remain vigilant in their efforts to locate Hannah. The Kobayashi family endured a devastating tragedy today. After tirelessly searching throughout Los Angeles for 13 days, Hannah's father, Ryan, tragically took his own life. This loss has compounded the family's suffering immeasurably. What the family needs most in this difficult time is for all communities to rally around them with support, compassion, and prayers. Please be considerate with your comments and posts. The trauma they are enduring is profound, and they now face the additional burden of grieving the loss of their family's pillar and navigating next steps. We kindly ask that you respect the family's privacy during this time. This shouldn't even have to be said, but here we are. Please refrain from contacting any family members regardless of any previous connections you may have had. Your understanding and cooperation are greatly appreciated. Allow them the space to grieve and process this significant loss. Again, it is the family wish that the public keep the focus on locating and recovering Hannah safely. The statement further names resources for people that are feeling like they may want to take their lives, as well as ways to report seeing Hannah if you happen to see them, which I will name at the end of the episode, and I will also include in my show notes. Hannah's sister, Sydney, also shared another statement, and this statement includes a fundraiser. I'm going to include that fundraiser in my show notes as well. Sydney said, "We are heartbroken to share that my father, Ryan Kobayashi, has tragically passed during the search for Hannah. As we continue searching for Hannah, we also face the unexpected costs of Ryan's funeral. Donations will now support both the search for Hannah and honoring Ryan's memory. My mom, Brandy, will handle donations and help me coordinate the search and my dad's funeral. Your support means the world to us during this unimaginable time. Thank you for standing with our family." If you're listening to this episode and you're thinking, holy shit, they've been through so much, I agree. And it's really unfortunate that I even have to have a portion of the episode dedicated to the speculation, but here we are. It's obvious that Hannah's family is grieving. They're grieving the loss of Ryan, Hannah's father, and they're grieving Hannah's disappearance. And they're still waking up every day, having to read comments, articles, communicate with LAPD, and push information out there and search for Hannah. Every day, this family has to face this grief head on. Every day, they have to share information, answer questions, and participate in the search to find her safe and sound, all while trying to process all of their grief. So, if you're the kind of person that tends to make comments and question things, I just ask that in a case like this, you maybe wait, because imagine this happens to your family And then on top of that, you have to read public ridicule and speculation. They deserve some peace at this time. Something else that's been really concerning is the internet, among certain media outlets, have been participating in a public judgment of the family that's grieving, making inaccurate statements and false accusations. Notably, on November 26th, a couple days ago, Los Angeles Police Department's Chief Jim McDonnell spoke at a board meeting of police commissioners. And Chief McDonnell stated, quote, "On Friday, November 8th, 23-year-old Hannah Kobayashi missed her connecting flight from LAX to New York, which the investigation determined was intentional. On November 15th, our missing persons unit assumed investigative responsibility. Detectives have been diligently reviewing video surveillance and employing various investigative techniques to locate Hannah, while her family has continued their personal search efforts." Chief McDonnell further stated that the department remains fully committed to locating Hannah. Did you notice anything off about that statement that I just read? By the way, did something not make sense to you? Did you catch him referring to Hannah as a 23-year-old? On Sunday, December 1st, Hannah's mother and her sister, Sydney, released a statement. This is what the statement reads. "We are devastated by Hannah's disappearance and now my father Ryan's passing. It is completely out of character for Hannah to simply disappear without a trace. We remain deeply concerned about Hannah's safety, her well-being, and her current state of mind. Hannah, if you happen to see this, know that we are not going to give up or stop searching until we find you. We know that this is something you would never do on your own accord, unless you felt some type of threat or you were unwell. We know how much you love all of us, and we love you deeply. We are doing everything in our power to locate Hannah. Based on information, surveillance footage reviewed, and information shared with us, these are the facts known to my mother and I. It does not appear that Hannah intentionally missed her flight." I want to emphasize that with a piece of a News Nation interview that I listened to. It's linked in my show notes that her aunt Lorrie gave. And she said the same thing, that in what they saw of her that day, she seemed to be in a hurry to catch her next flight. The statement further states, "My mother and I were unaware about the alleged findings presented at the Los Angeles Police Commission meeting until multiple videos of the meeting were sent to us by multiple citizens." So LAPD didn't even bother to share that with the family. They had to find out from third parties. "These alleged findings have yet to be relayed to my mother and I directly from the chief of the Los Angeles Police Department or any detective involved in Hannah's case. My mother and I would later learn that the police commission is a 5-member committee made up of 5 civilians, not law enforcement, who are not directly involved in Hannah's missing persons case. Specific facts contained in that report were inaccurate, such as Hannah's age. Hannah is 30 years old, not 23. Also, Hannah was reported missing to law enforcement on November 11th, not the 13th, as stated by the chief of the Los Angeles Police Department. The lack of communication surrounding some important details has left us feeling excluded from potentially crucial developments. However, we do remain hopeful and optimistic that the Los Angeles Police Department is doing everything in their power to assist us in locating Hannah. When my mother and I learned of Hannah's last confirmed sighting, we shared it publicly. We did so because our priority is to bring Hannah home safely. My mother and I have remained transparent from the onset of this case, and we will continue to be transparent. While we continue our search for Hannah widely, we will be focusing on the Southern California area, specifically all regions of Los Angeles, Long Beach, and all regions of San Diego. We extend our deepest gratitude to everyone who continues to hold our family in their prayers and to those positively contributing to our search efforts. Thank you to those continuing to demonstrate grace. We truly are suffering beyond measure. With love and gratitude, Sydney. The fact that this statement even has to be put out is really upsetting to me. It is really concerning to me that they are having meetings unbeknownst to the family and getting something basic like her date of birth wrong. Hannah's behavior has indicated that she intended to get to New York and work this job. She sent her mom, according to her aunt, a very detailed and concise itinerary of her trip. She communicated with her aunt about how excited she was to go to New York. She asked about what the weather was like in New York. She asked about what kind of clothes she should pack that would be weather appropriate for the trip. She was planning out where to eat, where she would go and visit. And she paid a couple of thousands of dollars for a hotel room that would ultimately end up empty. Hannah took steps to make sure that her phone was charged. She took steps to get to New York. She spoke to somebody with American Airlines at LAX to see if she could pay more money to get another flight to New York quicker and to be removed from the standby list. There's a lot of evidence that suggests that Hannah fully intended to get to New York. And speculating otherwise without evidence only does more damage. It does damage to the public perception of the case. It could do damage to the investigation. And it definitely does damage to her loved ones. So where does this leave us? Hannah's disappearance isn't just another mystery. This is a family's worst nightmare, and it's still unfolding every day. In my opinion, somebody out there knows something. Somebody out there knows where she is. Maybe a witness who doesn't even realize that they saw something important has information. But here's what matters. There's still hope. Hannah could still be found safely, and her family deserves the answers that they've been fighting for. If you know anything at all about this case, please step up. Speak out. Because cases like this aren't solved by silence, and they don't end with just unanswered questions. Hannah deserves better, her family deserves better, and it is on all of us to make sure that her story doesn't get left behind. Hannah Kobayashi is considered missing and at risk. She is a resident of Maui, and she went missing from LAX in Los Angeles after missing her connecting flight from Maui to NYC. She's 30 years old, 5'10", 140 pounds with hazel eyes. She has freckles on her face, and normally she wears glasses. She has a tattoo of a heart with a knife on her inside right forearm and a passage on her back left shoulder. She was last seen on 11/12/24 at approximately 6:30 in the morning in CCTV footage at the Greyhound bus stop at Union Station in Los Angeles. If you see Hannah, please contact police. If you can, also contact Crime Stoppers. You can find them at crimestoppers.org, and their number is 1-800-222-8477. If possible and safe to do so, please watch her until police arrive. Authorities are continuing to investigate the disappearance, and anybody with information that is not urgent, please contact local law enforcement at 877-527-3247. Obviously, if you see her and that's an emergency, call the emergency line. Please keep the Kobayashi family in your thoughts. And if you see something, if you hear something, please report the information so we can bring Hannah home. If you liked what you heard today, please like, review, subscribe. You can find bonus episodes and all of my backlogged episodes on Patreon at fthatpod, and the website is fthatpod.com. Thank you for listening.